audio check.
Now, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And now, if you're not completely satisfied, a few words from better than ever in your neighborhood. You'll be amazed.
Everything Pharmacy.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode here on RX Radio, a podcast about everything pharmacy. In today's episode, we chat with the owner of an independent pharmacy, where we talk about the pros and cons of owning an independent pharmacy and what the future is going to be like with Amazon possibly entering into the drug supply chain. Mike, thank you so much for taking the time to sit here and talk to me about pharmacy today. I really appreciate it. Wanted to start off by just having you tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, I started back. Grew up in pharmacy. I guess my whole life started back. My grandpa started this pharmacy. About when he passed away, my dad took over, and about when my dad passed away, we worked together for a number of years. Is when I took over. So we call it a family pharmacy, but more so, we're run by one family member as a benevolent dictatorship. So
Nice.
I've learned a long time ago, I don't really care for, partners, and I've never had the opportunity, but really not wanting to be with family partners, even more so, because that can get kind of messy. So
Yeah.
we run a pharmacy for the last probably 25 years. I was a huge part of the day-to-day, and then just through, I guess, maybe getting a little crabby in my old age or smarter, I about 2 years ago I put in a layer of management. So I've got like three people that I'm really dealing with day to day. One is my chief pharmacist, one is my chief operating officer, and then third would be my chief revenue officer. So instead of dealing with 5,000 customers and 50 employees, I'm pretty much exclusively talking to these three people. A lot of computer communication, day in and day out. I'm still very sociable with the rest of the team and know them and hi, how you doing, and those kind of conversations, but haven't had to deal with any employee issues for the last couple of years, which is nice, which allows me to do some more things that I enjoy in pharmacy, and things that have sprouted off from the pharmacy.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, honestly, it sounds like you're living the dream right now. I think that's something a lot of us would, aspire to, to be at in their careers, and to be at a point where
it kind of is. Because one thing I liked about pharmacy my whole life is what I loved about pharmacy was that I did get to wear many hats. I got to wear marketing hat and the business hat and those kind of things. Unfortunately, as time, maybe not unfortunately, but as time goes on, I want to spend more time on the things I like, but every day there was something new at the pharmacy, whether it was a issue with, someone's billing, or even just an employee issue of, someone's having a hard time at home and all those kind of things. And I don't want to make myself sound like a cold person, but anytime you're dealing with those kind of things, it's taken away from some of the neater hobbies that you found maybe associated with, even with the pharmacy business.
Especially if you care, if you're a caring individual, I mean, it's something that, will definitely, take a toll on you.
Well, I do care, but I'm not Mother Teresa. I don't care so much just for the sake of caring. I probably cared because it was, I probably cared. I'm joking, somewhat, but I probably cared in a selfish way, because the more that the team realizes that I care, and I care about their home life, and I care about, what's on their mind, the more you can kind of let them know you care, and the more that, the more they can get off their chest, I guess, it allows the whole operation to speed up, because you're then able to say, all right, you know, I know your dog died. I hugged you on that already. Now let's get down to business. You know,
definitely.
You can speed through things.
Yeah.
Once you both are on the same wavelength of what life baggage is there, it just makes the day move at a quicker pace. And for us in independent pharmacy, I think one of our benefits is that speed, you know, our pivot speed that we have, and that helps just with better communication.
Yeah, it's definitely in deep contrast to, you know, working for like a bigger chain or you know, being the manager of a bigger chain is the red tape that's in place and the lack of speed in terms of whether it's a new service or whether it's reacting to something. And but what
that's right.
What has been probably, would you say, is like the toughest part though of owning an independent pharmacy is?
Probably the toughest part has been, this is, I guess, cliche. The toughest part has been the dealing with the pharmacy benefit managers and their dominance on things. I know that without the insurances years ago, we probably never would have had the revenue that we have now. And drugs in general may not have sold as well as they're selling now. But it's hard to stomach some of the things that you see coming through from the pharmacy benefit managers as far as reimbursement and things like that. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, I think what bothers me the most of that is maybe not so much the pricing behind it, but just sometimes you feel maybe like you're not the entrepreneur anymore. You're kind of the B word, you know, you're kind of
I get it.
You know, you're kind of like
playing
just
their
like
game.
You're kind of just like doing things for them, you know, you're running around for them. So I think that's the part that maybe takes away a little bit of that entrepreneurship. Besides that, I really enjoy the whole operation. And again, some things I enjoy more. And so now I'm kind of living the dream of being able to do some more of those things that just seem to bring me a little bit more energy than you know, suck energy out of me.
So it sounds like, you know, living the dream, it sounds like that's probably, would you say, is that the most rewarding part of, you know, the journey?
Yeah, probably the most rewarding part now is, I mean, there was a ton of rewarding things along the way, meeting a lot of people and gaining a lot of experience and things like that. Probably the right now, my dream, my concern had always been growing up and being bored. And so right now, living the dream for me right now just means that I can think of something, whether it's a social media post or writing a page of you know, a blog or a book or looking something up or deciding that I want to buy a new thing for the pharmacy technology wise or something. I can pretty much run and do those things almost like within minutes of just kind of like a little kid in a toy store doing some of these things where sometimes even I'm not behind the pharmacy bench a lot now, but maybe twice a month I'm behind there. And that drives me crazy, really. Not so much that I dislike that work, but that it's like, are you kidding me? I've got to check these 8 prescriptions when right at this minute I want to go online and look something up that's interesting me. So that's just the dream for me of just being able to have some of that time to let my mind wander.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something too. I think that some folks of the younger generation can aspire to and try to get to at their point where they can own their own pharmacy. Whatever form of pharmacy that may be in the future, to be able to, I would say, you know, live life on their terms is what it sounds like. And
yeah, and I think so. And I guess I've never really verbalized it, but I guess my terms is micro terms. You know, it's not like I'm concerned because I want to run off to Hawaii or something like that. It's just on a micro level. I want to do something in the next 90 seconds that I couldn't have done in the next 90 seconds if I had to be doing this at that time. So just little simple micro pleasures throughout the day, I guess.
Yeah. So we met on social media, and which I think is crazy to really think about, even and to think of how we're even able to do this right now. I wanted to get your take on social media integration into pharmacies, and why that's important.
Yeah, social media, just a little background for me. Social media is just fascinating for me because I realize I spent a lot of time since actually I was brand new in the business back 25 years ago. My dad did a lot of advertising, but it seemed like he didn't do as much marketing, like in terms of wanting PR and wanting to get with the newspaper and the TV stations and things like that. Mm-hmm. And I had a love from that from the beginning, for various reasons. And it was when social media came along, it was fascinating because back in the day, we'd work on a newspaper ad or a Yellow Pages ad or a radio ad. You'd spend weeks on that working with the rep who would come into the pharmacy, and you would do it and you'd throw it out there, but there'd be nothing in return coming back. Mm-hmm. And so it was fascinating to think that I could actually speak to people outside of the pharmacy and get input back. So that was really fascinating about social media. The other thing that is really cool to me about social media was just that we're living in a time right now, and Richard, you and I are doing it right now, where it's unbelievable that there's no middleman between us saying that this show, this conversation we're having right now could not, blow up the world. Maybe it'll at least blow up one pharmacist's mind, but in theory, it could blow up the world. And to think that we don't have to go through the big three stations to do this, and don't have to get permission from, a radio host to do this, and those kind of thing is just fascinating. And so just that middleman is gone is fascinating. So those are the things that I think got me in love with social media. Then there's a whole other issue of, I guess, more of the mechanics of, what social media has done for us.
What about your pharmacy? Do you guys have any sort of integration with social media in terms of with your patients and things like that? Or how are you using social media in your pharmacy, I guess, to grow revenue or grow business or provide any care?
Yeah, the social media, for our pharmacy. So we're involved. I'm involved with all the different channels. So whether it's Twitter or Facebook or Instagram and Google Plus, and not probably so much on Snapchat. I've gone through some different phases of social media. I was a pretty early adapter of social media, and Facebook has definitely been our biggest one, and part of that has to do with our demographic. We've spent a lot of money on Facebook, more so than we haven't really touched any other of the social medias with advertising, because Facebook does a real simple job with advertising. So Facebook has been our main thing. To cut that one short, Facebook has been our main thing.
Yeah, gotcha. And so I'm sure you've heard about the big news that a couple of weeks ago, if not a month ago or so, about Amazon acquiring Whole Foods. Personally, I think that it was. It's crazy. I have a tweet that I think I put out like a couple weeks prior, saying that I'm doing a lot of things to prepare for the Amazon entrance into the pharmacy market. And little did I know that they had the crazy plan of acquiring a large, grocery market. And I wanted to see what your take is on that. I wanted to see what your thoughts are being an owner of an independent pharmacy. What are your thoughts on Amazon acquiring Whole Foods?
I guess I'm glad where I am at my career at being 50, and I can stick around for a while, or I can see my way out in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But Amazon is certainly, I mean, they're Amazon, they're Amazon. And so some particular points about Amazon is one is a couple things Amazon has that, for example, mail order places didn't have. I mean, if you're a typical mail order place, most people jumped into mail order pharmacy because they were forced to. Nobody really wanted to. Nobody really was going out searching for. I mean, a few people were trying to pick up things from Canada and so on, but mainly it was because they were forced to. Amazon, though, is already people's friends. I mean, they visit you every day at your house practically, and if they're not doing that, they're going to be visiting by drones or droids or whatever within the next couple years. And so I think people are, kind of throwing themselves. I think people are kind of throwing themselves at Amazon saying, treat me well. And they know Amazon's going to treat them well. As far as what pharmacists can do, and that's where I'm a proponent of this with social media. I talked a little bit about our social media in the pharmacy, but I think my main goal because I don't know where independent pharmacy is going to be, and I think my main goal on social media is to become. Everybody has the ability to be basically their own celebrity on social media. Mm-hmm. And that's something that, Bezos is not going to do. I mean, Amazon can do that, but Bezos is not going to come in and be the local pharmacy. No matter how well Amazon does, Bezos is not going to come in and be the local pharmacy voice of Grand Rapids, Michigan pharmacy. There's not. I've already taken that hole. That's already mine.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And so that's my recommendation. For everybody is to be something that that Amazon cannot be. Because I don't know what I can do as far as all I can do is focus on what I can focus on. I can't. I'm not even sure if I can focus on speed. I mean, if Amazon gets to the drones before, is it the drones? Is that what it is? The flying.
Yeah, they're
things?
gonna start delivering by drone. I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, if they get to that before I do, and they can talk to doctors as soon as I can. They might have a hotline to doctors more. I mean. They might be able to do everything better. So I've got to keep saying, what can I do? And one of the things I can do that every pharmacist can do, whether they own a pharmacy or they're a staff pharmacist, is nobody can replace them. So, nobody can replace who they are. And so I think every pharmacist has to, I don't know if the payoff's going to be there or not, but I think it has to be the gamble, and it's a cheap gamble. You don't need much more than your phone. We all are carrying our own media company in our hands now, but everybody has to really be their own media star, and you've got to stand out somehow because the Amazons of the world are coming.
Yeah. So you're saying that it's about building the brand of the individual pharmacist, their ability to build relationships, their ability to provide care is going to be what's going to be key to kind of separating themselves from Amazon and allowing Amazon to still enter, but still giving themselves a place in healthcare.
I think so. And right, as I'm saying this now, to if everybody did it, there might not be any room at all. But as we're speaking now, we know the 80-20 rule, that, or in this case, it might be 98-2 rule, that the 2% of the people that hear this program are going to be, so you pick a town and you've got 1,000 pharmacists. There might be 20 at most that are going to rise up and be their own media company.
Mhm.
And we all have different talents. I mean, if you look to me, Richard, if you look to me like right now and said, ask me a medical question, I'd say pass. I'm joking. I mean, I've got it a little bit, but I'd say pass. So I'm not sure what my skills are. It might be simplifying business things, or doing this, or talking about different social media ideas, or maybe I have a knack of getting a hold of the press and breaking down stories, simplifying them or something.
Mm-hmm.
But someone else may not have that at all. They might go the route of being, the technical medical answer person for pretty important medical things. But I think that there's room for 2080, but there's a ton of room for 298, which is probably going to be, because this social media stuff has been around for a while, and there's not too many pharmacists that have risen up and really tried to make their own, media out of it. But to say that every person is a Regis Philbin or someone with the charisma of social media, no. But I think we can all find our own little spots in it and make a dent and try to be one step ahead of Bezos when he comes in, because we all might be looking. I might be looking for a job when Amazon comes in 3 years, but I'd rather be looking for a job with years and years of having my Mike brand around the internet than starting from scratch.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I can definitely see how, having that ability to showcase how passionate you are either about business or about social media, or about pharmacy in general, how having that presence online, which I think that nowadays, if you don't have a presence online, it's almost like you're almost non-existent, I would say, especially in the business world. So
you have to be, you have to be, because I just wrote a little post last night, and I was thinking, how do you tell if a business is still in business nowadays? Well, it's not Yellow Pages, and it used to be the website, but now I don't even go to websites, because websites you could have a perfectly good website for a business that went out of business 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's true.
So really the way to tell, almost really the way to tell if something's in business, is either to drive there. God forbid we have to leave our house
Get in the
do
car
that.
And do work. Yeah.
Call them. Who wants to call on the telephone? So really the way to tell is by hopping online and seeing if you see a pulse on Twitter or Facebook. And if you don't, you're almost on to the next company.
Yeah, that's true. You're definitely right in that sense. So what about the practicing pharmacists right now? Because I think that some of the listeners right now are currently probably at a chain pharmacy. Being an owner of an independent, and being an advocate for being social media, for building a brand, and for knowing that Amazon will be a player in the future. What advice do you have for the practicing community pharmacist?
So if I were a community pharmacist without an ownership, the first thing I would do is break up my persona into two different persons. So in other words, I would have my family, my Mike Facebook and my Mike Instagram and Mike Twitter and all those kind of things. That's one thing I would do. Then I would break the other one up into some name that would be similar, and not a company necessarily, but something that said, pharmacist Mike, or a doctor of pharmacy, but Dr. Smith or something that kind of had that flair to it.
Gotcha.
So I would separate those, and there's a couple reasons for that. One is so you're not boring your family with medical stuff, and you're not boring the medical side with that. So I would break both of those up for those. LinkedIn is one that I would keep together. In other words, that would be my one where that's more my business account. And there you're not going to throw a whole ton of personal stuff on there anyways, but that's where I would just have one account. So backing up a little bit, I would have a Mike personal Facebook, and I would have a Mike the Pharmacist Facebook page, because those are two different things. So you got a personal account, and in Facebook it's called a page. But then on Instagram, I would just have an Instagram one. I suppose your Instagram one, they do have business Instagram accounts, so I would have that. Twitter, you can have your personal Twitter, and then your professional Twitter, and then LinkedIn would be one company that's showing who you are. And then I would keep. So let's forget about the social stuff. I'm not going to be here telling you how to post cat pictures. Yeah. People have to figure that one out on their own. But on the professional one, then I would hit that at least once a month. I would hit that with preferably an original thought in my mind. Like, I think they're not cracking down hard enough on opioids, or they are cracking down too hard on opioids. I would put a personal thought in there, show that you're willing to step out a little bit. Then in the on the LinkedIn site, I would do the same thing. I'd be linking up with professionals. I'd be following people, commenting on them, writing a little bit of my own stuff. But on that line, on that trail. So if I'm a hospital pharmacist or an independent or a community pharmacist with no ownership at all, I still have 4 or 5 social accounts that people know it's my professional account, and I would have something posted on there at least once a month to show that you're in the game.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Well, I hope the listeners out there will take that advice and start to up their social media game and get on board with building their own brand and be ready to take on what the quote unquote Amazon's pharmacy is going to be like in the industry.
Mike, and that's not, and it sounds tougher than it is, but there's programs out there. One that comes to mind is called Hootsuite. And basically, you can just load up your professional one. So you can load up your Facebook page, your Instagram, your Twitter, and so on down the line, Google Plus. You can load those up and come up with one thought once a month, put it on there, hit enter, and you're done. It's like a 10-minute proposition. And now you've just put some of those professional seeds out there.
Yeah. Hootsuite is cool too. You can what you're talking about is you can link up all your accounts on there. You can make one general post, whether it's with a link or just a thought in there. And you can actually, the cool thing about Hootsuite too is you can schedule it out. So you can sit on a Sunday night and make 4 different posts, and then you could schedule one to be released, in the next every week, once a week for the next, 6 weeks even. So,
yes. They can. I never do that because I'm too excited. I like to think of one, kind of like I talked about earlier. I like to think of something and do it and see the response and all that. But you're absolutely right. You can plan those out. You could do it you could basically do it once a year if you had 10 or 12 thoughts or something.
That's true.
One thing a year, and you'd be done. You'd have yourself covered.
Yeah. Well, Mike, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me here today about owning an independent pharmacy and social media. Any closing thoughts that you want to leave us with?
No, the only thing I would offer is that I do share some of these thoughts occasionally online. My home site is pharmacysocialmedia.com, but in Twitter it's pharmacy me because of the letters. But on Instagram it's pharmacy social media. But I'll share some of these things, and I would love, I love to interact with people. So if anybody has any questions or thoughts to throw out there in the comments on those, it'd be my joy to keep the conversation going.
Cool, and I'll definitely link that up into the podcast description. But again, thank you so much for taking the time to take this call with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Richard. I appreciate it.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. I really hope you guys enjoyed that interview. I hope it was as insightful to you as it was to me. Please leave me a comment on Instagram or on iTunes. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Any feedback is going to be greatly appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, see you over the counter.
Pharmacy.